Hello, happy Friday. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gramansing. In our top story, the Lieutenant Governor found that recent real property auctions were used to illegally cheat the Virgin Islands government out of collecting the assessed value out of certain properties. As such, the Lieutenant Governor and several government agencies, including the Department of Justice, they are now imposing new regulations to provide fair and legal means of obtaining auction properties. News 2's Stephanie Brown reports.
The Lieutenant Governor and the tax assessor must produce $25 million in delinquent property tax collections.
A continuous effort to generate revenue to fund the Virgin Islands central government's operational costs occurred in the form of property auctions. However, any winning bids are now null and void.
From the previous two auctions that were conducted through the Office of the Lieutenant Governor were cancelled. 95% of the individuals were able to receive their monies that they paid for the property during those auctions.
The Lieutenant Governor informed that there were illegal strategies to take advantage of the government auctions recently.
There was a pattern, there was a scheme where there was collusion, and the highest bidder and the second highest bidder colluded to have the highest bidder not follow through, and the second highest bidder, whose bid was a lot lower, was able to get the properties.
In 2012 through 2013, property through government auctions were fraudulently obtained by a former chief enforcement officer in the tax assessor's office, along with two other men who were arrested and charged with conspiracy, forgery, and 3 other charges.
The Attorney General's guidance have some basic new guidelines in place that's going to be governing the upcoming auction.
23 properties on St. Croix, 36 on St. Thomas, and 6 in St. John that can earn the Virgin Islands $43 million. But the governor was also made aware that the property owners have the ability to make restitutions.
The actual money collected will be placed in an escrow account, and if the owners redeem their property at that point, then the monies will be available to be given back to the winning bidders of the transactions.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Now, Attorney General Claude Earl Walker has issued a stern warning that his office will prosecute anyone engaged in any scam at the upcoming government property auctions. He says persons having any ideas of engaging in fraudulent acts on auction day to secure property are hereby warned that they do so at their own peril, as we intend to prosecute anyone having been found to have engaged in such activity at any one of the Lieutenant Governor's real property auctions. He said that Friday morning during the joint press conference with Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter at Government House. AG Walker made these comments in light of the recent arrests and subsequent sentencings of several persons who pleaded guilty to participating in a scheme to defraud the government through a 2012 property auction. As we just mentioned, 4 men, Calford Charleswell, Sylvester Warner, Paul Sabers, and Edward McKenzie, were taken into custody on November 19, 2015, and charged in connection with an August 30, 2012 public auction scheme. Well, several states have enacted a legislation related to the imprisonment of minors that commit first-degree murder. The U.S. Supreme Court made a precedented decision on this matter in 2012. Locally, in a Rules and Judiciary Committee, testifiers and senators examined some factors that would determine Bill number 32-0103's consequences in the territory. Stephanie Brown reports.
Senator Samuel Sanis has proposed a bill to amend VI Code by prohibiting persons under the age of 18 who commit murder not be in prison for life, but not serve less than 15 years. The Attorney General referred to the Miller versus Alabama Supreme Court ruling that dictated that mandatory sentences of life without the possibility of parole was unconstitutional for juvenile offenders, even if they committed murder.
The Department of Justice's position that the legislation before us today should be amended to reflect a new minimum mandatory sentence that comports more closely with what the majority of other jurisdictions have adopted.
According to studies, there are 2,500 individuals that were sentenced as juveniles to life in prison. And in the wake of the 2012 Supreme Court decision, 19 states have banned life sentences without parole for juveniles. Senator Novell Francis, the Rules and Judiciary Chair, inquired on local juvenile statistics.
Police Department, any recollection in terms of data of over the last 3 years, how many juveniles have been charged with murder in the first degree?
About 4.
About 4 individuals.
Yes.
All right.
Sergeant Christian of the VIPD shared that the disposition of the department included rehabilitation of minors. However, resources are needed.
The resources in the Virgin Islands are scarce, and as a result, many of troubled minors or minors in need of assistance slip through the cracks.
In correlation with the Supreme Court ruling, the Chief Public Defender referred to studies on adolescent brain science.
1, they are immature and do not demonstrate mature judgment. 2, they are susceptible to peer pressure, especially negative peer pressure.
Senator Nelson shared his sentiments on juveniles entangled in bad decision-making. However, the senator shared his certainty on premeditated juvenile crimes.
I don't consider a person a child anymore when they can sit down and concoct a crime where they plan, they stalk, they...
The bill was held in committee for further review, and victims of juvenile murders were also taken into consideration.
Murder is murder.
Agree.
And it's a fiction to say that, you have juvenile murderers at 17 and adult murderers at 27, and there's a difference to the victim. The victim is gone forever.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
In other news, respected Caribbean economist Jeremy Stephen, he praised the U.S. Virgin Islands government's recent effort to correct the fiscal imbalances that have challenged its treasury for successive administrations. Stephen, who has been reviewing the financial outlook of the U.S. Virgin Islands in light of Puerto Rico's financial challenges, described the measures taken by Governor Kenneth Mapp and the territory's legislature to trim costs and increase revenues for funding essential services while maintaining public sector employment as encouraging. Stephen, who's the president of the Barbados Economic Society, said his own country, which has traditionally been one of the region's more stable economies, continues to maintain a large debt. In favorable contrast, he said the USVI's debt to GDP ratio is about 55%, with matching fund bonds constituting approximately 59% of the USVI debt. In the territory, he said, which has never defaulted on its obligations, recently cut its fiscal year 2016-2017 budget by $33 million through prudent spending measures. For the first time in 5 years, the USVI realized a slight uptick in its GDP. Increased economic growth is forecast. The USVI, he says, still holds substantial levels to respond to additional fiscal risks. Property taxes are very low when compared with the United States and other territories, including its Caribbean neighbors, and the gross receipt tax remains at only 5%. Well, yesterday, as we reported, June 22nd, the Bank of St. Croix in Peter's Rest was robbed. And here's a little bit of an update. According to released statements from the Virgin Islands Police Department, 32-year-old Adam Mason entered the bank with a concealed weapon and wore a hoodie with sunglasses and grabbed the security guard on duty by his neck and pointed his weapon towards the guard's head. Further details from the VIPD state that Mason then approached a teller and demanded that she fill the bag with cash. As reported, Mason discharged one shot toward the ceiling and fled by foot. He was apprehended at 9:27 a.m., roughly half an hour after the robbery was reported. Mason was remanded to the Golden Grove Detention Center pending his advice of rights. Well, the USVI Hotel and Tourism Association's 24th Annual Destination Symposium wrapped up today. As we shared earlier in the week, representatives from several of the top travel companies gathered for the 5-day event to meet on island with travel partners and to discuss various products, marketing initiatives, and more. The USVI Hotel and Tourism Association's 24th Annual Destination Symposium was held June 19th to the 23rd. They celebrated the theme Centennial, as representatives from several of the top travel companies gathered to meet with on-island travel partners.
And we very much value our partnership with the Department of Tourism. We've always said it really takes public and private sector collaboration to truly succeed in all of our endeavors with our partners. And I believe that we are at a time and place where we're flourishing, and we appreciate that partnership and our community for supporting it. And, you know, tourism is all of us.
Various products, marketing initiatives, and services were discussed and displayed. Representatives say wholesalers are able to learn more about what the VI has to offer at these events.
The Department of Tourism is so pleased to be at the 24th Annual Destination Symposium. This event is so important to me because I started it when I was at the Hotel Association more than 10 years ago. And to see how it's grown and our partner participation and how eager they are to learn about the USVI, it still amazes me that 24 years later, this event is still growing.
The VI Department of Tourism gave a marketing and public relations presentation and answered many of the attendees' questions.
I'm excited to welcome a new team member who is actually based in LA, who happens to be a Dumeng, but who happens to also be a longtime location manager with connections and a deep connection to the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I'm very excited to be working with David, and we really look forward to ramping up this business. I've got a couple of good leads for 2 small productions, actually movies. We were happy to finally get our rules and regulations for our Incentive Act, so I'm definitely pushing that forward and look forward to working with all of you in the industry moving forward.
Focus just quickly again on the experience, because we think that's so critical to differentiating us in the market. And our directors of visitor experience are not here with us today, but I want to just say thank you to them. And both teams will be rolling out a new program. And I feel as strongly about tourism as I do about our social responsibility. And I just want to end by thanking the students of the Ullamulla School for opening up for our session this morning. They were fantastic. And so thank you to the principal, Simmer Brown, Dr. Simmer Brown, and the students for their participation.
Job well done there. Now, the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association is the Caribbean's leading association representing tourism interests for national hotel and tourism associations. Now, the travel agents, the operators, writers, and other industry professionals, they spent the week exploring and learning about St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John so they can help us sell America's paradise. Well, the Senate Republican health care bill saw daylight for the first time yesterday, and already it's on life support. 5 senators say they won't back it, and several more are unsure. Scott McLean has more on where things go from here.
Republicans believe we have a responsibility to act, and we are.
The Republican health care bill was built behind closed doors, but now it's being cut down in plain sight. At least 5 GOP senators say they won't vote for it in its current form, but are open to negotiating.
This current draft doesn't get the job done.
It keeps the pre-existing condition, keeps the regulations, and then subsidizes the death spiral. That's my real complaint. We are not fixing Obamacare.
President Trump, a self-described deal maker, doesn't seem concerned.
I think that they'll probably get there.
But those senators are not the only obstacles. Several others are sitting on the fence.
Put me down as a solid undecided.
I cannot support a bill that is going to result in tens of millions of people losing their health insurance.
And the clock is ticking. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell wants a vote before the 4th of July recess, just after it gets a score or cost and impact assessment from the Congressional Budget Office. Previous scores of the House version have predicted $119 billion in cost savings compared to Obamacare, but also 23 million fewer people with coverage in the next decade. Like Obamacare, this bill has no bipartisan support, although some Republicans say they're open to negotiation.
2 Democrats walking Mitch McConnell's door right now. They bargained.
If no Democrats get on board, Republicans can only afford to lose 2 votes to get the bill passed. In Washington, I'm Scott McLean.
Keeping our eye on the economy, the company behind Snapchat is getting into the world of location sharing. Snap announced Wednesday it will debut a new feature called Snap Map. It allows Snapchat users to share their locations with friends, and here's how it works. Users in default camera mode pinch to zoom out and view the map. You then decide whether you want to share your location with your friends or use ghost mode to keep where you are to yourself. Friends who share your location will also appear on the map in Bitmoji form. Let's take a look at the numbers there. The Dow down, NASDAQ and S&P up 28 and 3. Coming up on News 2, news from around the Caribbean and some elections update. That's coming up next. Beautiful shot there. Let's turn our eyes to St. Kitts in our Caribbean news there. Artists performing for the St. Kitts Music Festival, they got a chance to introduce themselves in a press conference. The Honorable Lindsay Grant spoke of the impact of the music festival and how much it has on tourism. Here's more.
Artists performing on the Thursday night of the St. Kitts Music Festival got a chance to interact with the media and introduce themselves to the public on Thursday morning during a press conference held at the Sky Lounge at the Royal Beach Casino. During the event, Minister of Tourism Honorable Lindsay Grant spoke of the impact the music festival has had on visitor arrivals.
As I'm advised, all the airlines are coming in jam-packed, ram-packed, full. The hotels are absolutely sold out, the Marriott, OTI, you name it, which means people are here, people are coming.
Chairman of the Artist Selection Committee, Ambassador Jonel Powell, said even with 16 acts and a band clash, he foresees that the show will not go very late.
I know on paper it looks like a lot, but it's going to come down to some very good stage management.
And the members of the Grand Masters and Small Acts bands say they are ready to face off in the newly added band clash.
Well, in terms of preparation, that's no preparation. That's normal work. That's just normal work. We go out and we just mash up the place. That's all. And I know things going to happen tonight, so watch it.
We know that we are on the world stage. You hear what I'm saying? The world stage. So we are coming out tonight preparing, sharp. Everything going to be on par. We got to come out to take the cake, take the prize, and put our name in the park.
As part of the activities surrounding the St. Kitts Music Festival, the members of Third World spent much of Thursday leading a music development workshop at the Marriott Resort. The workshop is organized by the Music Festival Committee and is primarily aimed at young up-and-coming performers.
Getting an opportunity to ask questions, find out how they do this technique and what it is to be a professional musician, the ups and the downs and the good and the bad, and be able to speak with the persons who live it. I think is very, very important for anybody who is involved in arts.
Turn our attention back here at home. Here's an election update on June 27th. The legislative session will be held on St. Thomas to judge the qualifications of Senator-elect Kevin Rodriguez to serve in the 32nd legislature. The Senate Secretary, Senator Jean Ford, released information that the legislature will allow Rodriguez and a witness to present credentials and evidence of his qualifications. Last week, the chair of the St. Thomas Democratic Committee publicly informed that that the Democratic Party members in the 32nd should seat Rodriguez or resign their posts as senators. According to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, the 32nd legislature is recommended to rule whether or not Kevin Rodriguez be seated. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party of the USVI St. Croix District, they're holding a general membership meeting on Saturday, June 24th from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at 2+2 Restaurant in La Grande Princess. The guest speaker is Albert Bryan, Jr., who's the former Commissioner of Labor. Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority has scheduled service interruption to a portion of St. Thomas Feeder 10B on Saturday, June 24th from 6 to 9 a.m. Service will be interrupted to customers in the Frenchman's Bay, Donkey Hill, and Bolongo areas while crews safely replace a rotten pole on Donkey Hill and replace all electrical cables and equipment. With the assistance of VIPD, make note of this, Donkey Hill will be closed to vehicular traffic while the work is in progress. Motorists are advised to use alternate route. Every effort will be made to restore electrical service and vehicular traffic as quickly as possible. Again, that is on Saturday from 6 to 9 a.m. and the road will be closed. Virgin Islands Port Authority, they're reminding the public of available parking options for those traveling to the Erman Fredericks Marine Terminal in Red Hook, St. Thomas, who are heading to Cruise Bay for the festival activities. VIPA's Executive Director David Mapp said the Port Authority has provided paid parking at Parcel C, Estate Nazareth, number 1 Red Hook Quarter, which is located adjacent to the Ivana Udorkin High School field. And that's been happening since the closure of the parking lot at the terminal last November. The fee to park at VIPA's temporary lot is $1 per hour. Parking over 4 hours will be charged at the daily rate of $6. Paid shuttle service to the ferry terminal is provided by East End Taxi until 11 p.m. at a cost of $1 per trip. Now, the lot at the UVF terminal is closed to complete a 2-level parking garage to provide more parking space and alleviate congestion at this busy seaport. VIPA is also adding some additional parking spaces for physically challenged drivers and improving drainage and utilities. Commuter parking is not allowed at the UVF terminal during this construction. However, the terminal and barge ramp remain open and fully operational. Mapp said due to a late start in the construction, the completion of the parking garage is now expected by January 2018. He apologized for any inconveniences caused and asked for the public's patience as the Port Authority works to improve its port's facilities. He also asked the public to exercise caution when traversing near the construction site. Well, don't forget the 16th annual Relay for Life is this weekend. It's going to be held at the Adelita Cancrine Junior High School, The Field, starting from 4 p.m. on Saturday, June 24th to Sunday, June 25th, ending at 11 a.m. No one is immune to cancer, they say, but there's always hope, which stems from your generosity and support of the mission of the American Cancer Society. Every dollar raised in the territory stays in the territory and is used to give direct financial assistance to newly diagnosed cancer patients. There will be a luminaries ceremony held in the evening with candles lit in remembrance of those who lost their battle against cancer and to honor those who have survived. Survivors will make a special lap around the field as caregivers, volunteers, family and friends support and encourage them in their symbolic journey. Luminaria bags and candles will be available for purchase at the event as well. And Cancer Support VI, they're reminding you that the International Capital Management Company, who puts on the Cancer Support VI, they announced that the next free presentation is coming up by Dr. Petra Ketterl, which is a medical oncologist from Progressive Medical Center in Atlanta. She will discuss Cancer Won't Get the Best of Me. That's the title of her presentation. The free lecture will be held on Wednesday, July 5th at noon at the Kimmelman Cancer Institute in the Benjamin Medical Auditorium, 2nd floor. The mission of the Cancer Support VI is to provide some support, education, information, and assistance to people living with cancer and their families and friends as well. If you or someone in your family has been affected by cancer, be sure to join CSVI and Dr. Petra Ketterl on Wednesday, July 5th at noon at the Kimmelman Cancer Institute, St. Thomas, and learn how to prevent cancer from getting the best of you. Be sure to stick around. Your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.
Music Festival promises to be one of the most spectacular displays of artistry yet, with performances by V. Boseman, Rihanna D, Ed Robinson, Ian Squarewater Revisited, Alicia Ross, Jack York. And if that wasn't enough, for the first time in Sugar City, St. Kitts, chart-topping and award-winning R&B artist K. Michelle. Cost for all this is just $100 EC. So follow your heart to the Warner Park Stadium on Thursday, 22nd June for an experience like no other.
Some action out there in parts of the western world associated with tropical activity. Former tropical storm Brett is a former storm that really is just a shell of itself right now. That little weak cluster of storms and circulation is moving to a point near Belize and near the Yucatan. And then this, a little bit of greater significance, we have Tropical Depression Cindy making a lot of problems and creating some serious flooding into the deep south of the U.S. and into the northeastern U.S. But as we look specifically at the U.S. Virgin Islands, we find ourselves in a fairly quiet weather pattern with just a few small-scale storms firing and drifting west with time. Nothing to be too concerned about here. We'll get down to 81 tonight, partly cloudy skies, and a fairly quiet setup is in store for tomorrow. We'll get back up to around 91 in St. John with a stray shower or storm, but nothing too widespread and nothing too menacing out there. Into St. Thomas, 91 degrees with a shower or two, and into St. Croix, about 89 degrees there with a stray shower or two, but nothing too long-lasting. Taking a look at that marine forecast on the Atlantic side, 2 to 4 foot waves, some slow rollers, and you may need to use some caution if you're out on a small boat. With that breeze, fairly active from the east at 10 to 15, gusts over 20. Same story for the Caribbean side. Really, we're kind of dealing with a pretty uniform marine forecast, so boaters in all directions need to use a little bit of extra caution. That 5-day forecast features some consistent warmth here, low 90s on a daily basis. Overnight lows will get down to near 81 and eventually 80 degrees. And we have a few hit or miss showers out there, not just on Saturday, but we'll do it again on Sunday. These are going to generally drift from east to west as we are accustomed to here with that trade wind flow. And we'll get just a tiny step warmer into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It might even be a change too small to perceive. Scattered showers still possible. Nothing too widespread, though. And the good news here is that there's no real concern for new development in the tropics over the next 5 days. Back to you, Sandy.
Thanks for that update. A nice, sunny, bright outlook there by Sylph Ralph, 10 years of age, representing the LCR Community Learning Center. Can't miss that little heart in there and the bright sunshine and the, looks like a swan. Great creative eye there. Thank you for that. Send us your News 2 weather picture through your address on the screen and then tune in to see it right here on News 2. Stick around. News 2 Sports is coming up next.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Play ball! Man, I love saying that. And that's exactly what's going to happen for a very talented group of Little Leaguers. Members of the intermediate 50-70 St. Thomas All-Stars boarded a plane early this morning, headed to Reynosa, Mexico for the Latin America Regional Tournament, which is from June 24th through July 1st. If they win, then it's on to Livermore, California for the intermediate 50-70 World Series. So let's meet some members of this team and coaches.
My name is John Altuve, Janalltuitt. I play third base and catcher.
And who's your favorite team?
Boston Red Sox.
You ready to play?
Yes.
All right.
My name is Nico Amy. Spell it Nequanamey. And I play left field. My favorite player is Justin Nelson.
My name is Jafari Samuel, Jafari Samuel. I pitch and I play shortstop, and my favorite team is New York Yankees.
My name is Danny Joseph. I play first base. My name is spelled D-A-N-A-E. And my last name is spelled J-O-S-E-P-H.
You ready to play?
Yeah.
My name is McKendrick Barnard Jr. Spell my name M-A-C-K-E-N-D-R-I-C-K-B-E-R-N-A-R-D Jr.
You ready to play?
Yes.
You ready to win?
Yes.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah. I play the position right field.
And the tournament we're going to be like down there, we're going to face other islands, Caribbean islands. We got Mexico, Curacao, Panama, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, you name it, Jamaica, they're going to be there. And I feel these boys ready, and they put a lot of hard work, sweat, tears, everything in on this same park we are today. And hey, like I say, I just want them to do the best and have fun.
All right. So, going to Mexico, how you feel about that?
Feel pretty confident. It's a good bunch of guys we got here, so I think they're ready.
We come here and work hard every day for the position that we're in right now. So I want to shout out to my parents, named Natalie de los Santos, and my father, Arismendi, and also my siblings. So that's all. Thank you. And I also hope to make it to the majors one day as a legend and a Hall of Famer.
We're pretty much confident and we're pretty much positive that anything that we set out to do together we'll accomplish and overcome. So once we do that, we know that the task should be easy. The road won't be paved, but you know, we trust that it'll be easy if we play together as one, if we stick together.
One team, one dream. One team, one dream. One team, one dream.
Good luck, guys. I know you're going to do the VI proud. That's it for sports. Have a fabulous weekend, everybody. Sandy, back to you.
They sure are. Thanks for that, Gary. Thanks for the update. That is all for this edition of News 2. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest in news, weather, and sports. I'm Sandra Gumansing on behalf of all of us. Have a wonderful weekend.